Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the IVES number HGPART.1019. This is a package of 100 machine screws for their typical 5BB1, etc. type hinges. It's a 1224 flat undercut head thread forming screw in a steel base in a US 10 or 639 type finish. So this is a machine screw for a typical hinge. There are different size machine screws for typical hinges, but this would be for your 4x4, your 4.5, 4.5, your 5x5, maybe even 6x6. Don't quote me. That might still be a 1224. There is a cutoff where it goes to quarter 20 at some point. But, well, 3.5 would, I think, still take a 1224. So it's a 1224 thread. It's undercut head. You can see underneath the flat head it's cut back, and that's to allow the flat head feature of a screw to be both flush with the top of the hinge, with the surface of the hinge, but a typical flat head would be too high, too tall in its height, so that it could end up being flush and flat. So they undercut the head so that you can install a flathead screw into a item that's generally too thin for it. It's a machine screw, obviously. It's 1224 thread. I had said thread forming as well. There's a feature on the tip of the screw which allows, right there you can see, when you're running this into a hollow metal door or frame, best practice would tell you to run a tap through that first. No one ever does. I don't. Thread forming screws allow you to help cut that paint out of there first, but using a tap is, not that I don't, but if there does not appear to be an excessive amount of paint there, then I don't. But running a tap through the preparation for the hinges is, of course, recommended. But they are thread forming, and that's standard on machine screws, almost all machine screws for hinges, so it's a standard feature. When you buy one, you're literally buying a bag of 100, and that's how these are sold. Now, what's interesting about IVES is the fact that they have an individual part number for their machine screw or their wood screw, dependent on finish, actually base material and finish. So if you need steel base satin bronze, in a machine screw, you have to order the .1019. If you want that same screw in a brass base material, you have to order a different part number. And for instance, if you needed the same screw in a steel base in a satin bronze, that 612, well, the 639 right there, that's the BHMA code for steel base satin bronze. If you wanted that same screw in a brass base, it should be a bronze base, in a US 10, which becomes 612 finish, that part number would be HGPART.1010. Okay, so in a brass base material, it's a .1010. For every finish and base material, there's a different part number. Machine screws, wood screws, that's just how IVES does it. I certainly like the idea of having a very specific part number for every piece. It is certainly extra work if you're dealing with hinge screw part numbers all the time. But I do like the fact that it's a quite unique part number. You can't get it wrong. The finish, the base material, everything is defined. Again, this would be used on typical hinges, whether they be IVES or not. If you need machine screws for a typical hinge, 1224 flat undercut head and a bronze finish, this would work for anyone's hinge. In fact, provided it's the right size screw for the right application. There's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the IVES products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. The name IVES is synonymous with a very comprehensive offering of commercial hardware when it comes to continuous geared hinges, pin and barrel hinges, pivots, flat goods, trim and auxiliary hardware, door stops, standard hinges, obviously, as well, butt hinges, I mean to say, and all of their different derivatives and variants. That link to the catalog will show you all of that material. A fun fact about IVES is they have been in business since the 19th century, for sure. There are a couple of very old archival catalogs there for IVES, very turn of the century, and I mean turn of the 20th century, that will show you what they were making those days. A lot of window hardware. And IVES had always been known as a very good quality brass, solid brass manufacturer of trim and auxiliary hardware, but you would always go to them for your sash lifts, your sash locks. Well, go back 120 years, and they had not 3 choices. They had lots of choices of sash locks and sash lifts. It's a really great, fun way to go back in time and look and see what probably would have been an upper class home look like with that sort of etched sash lock hardware. Any questions on the IVES HGPART.1019 hinge screw machine in a 639, which is a steel base and a satin bronze finish, or any other IVES product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.